man.
Mm-hmm. Always. So this is Korean beer. Oh, actually,
Yes.
it's really good.
I know, right? What we were drinking
I
is
actually really enjoy that.
Cass.
Cass.
Fresh. Korea's #1 beer.
Korea's #1 beer. Tell me about Korea more in depth, I suppose.
Well, I'll start with the way that they drink. First of all, best Somac is with Cass. That's all I gotta say.
What's Somac?
Somac is beer. You know what soju is?
Yeah.
You mix 1 shot of soju and you put like a can of beer.
Oh.
And you mix it together.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I do that.
soju and beer is called makju in Korean. So they call it somac.
Makju.
So
Okay.
soju plus makju.
So is that what I
equals-
would call a Jewish McDonald's? Oh, McJew?
No. Fuck you.
No, I do that. I do that with Guinness and whiskey. I basically do that
Oh.
same thing.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
I
they do that
I
in
learned this
Europe
from
all
like
the
a
time.
booze channel. Like these Irish people, they drink it. It's basically like I do the same thing. I pour a whole thing of Guinness, and I was like, they were. I don't. There is a name for
Yeah.
it. I don't know what it is, but that's super good. I really love that shit.
mhm.
I have like 2 or 3 of those, and I'm like, wow, I'm like drunk.
That's good shit.
Mm-hmm.
But Korea was fun, man. A lot of drinking.
I was gonna say, what is the drinking culture like over there?
Dude, okay, so it's literally like there are 3 pastimes in Korea. One of them is eating, one of them is drinking, and one of them is working.
Is
And
that a
that's-
Korean pastime?
Basically, that's all Koreans do.
Really?
They work, then after work, all of the coworkers are mandatory. It's like you are required to go with your boss after work, and you are required to get as fucked up, if not more fucked up than your boss. Like, it is a part of the job.
This sounds like imprisonment in a weird, fucked up kind of way.
Dude, they don't really like it. It's weird. Like, the younger generation. That's what I said. I was like, bro. Like,
So why do they do it? Are they really
it's
going to
the
get
older.
fired?
It's the older. They're not gonna get fired. It's kind of like. It's just doing something that your boss likes.
Well, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like going out with my boss every once in a while as much as the next guy.
Sure. But it's
they mandate it.
in a weird way. It used to be like almost law, but through
Korea and its laws at this point, I'm just kind of like.
So this is how it
Did they
basically
track your
started.
phone while you were over there?
They did for the first 2 weeks because of the COVID shit.
But they don't track it after that.
No.
So what was like? I remember hearing that they were doxing like tons of people. That if you were like out past curfew, if you were like out at parks, that like and you weren't allowed to be, like a lot of shit like that. Was that not going on over there?
No, I never had any problems honestly with the police over there are complete 360-degree opposite of U.S. police. Dude, people literally.
So they're the same?
No,
You mean a 180?
a 180. Sorry, you know what I mean. Seriously, dude, the police are scared of the people, bro. There is stories all the time that I heard of cops like basically getting sued or like losing their jobs because people will act like they got hurt by the cops, and the courts always take the person's side. One thing also about Korea, the courts always take the person's side, whether
What
it's
a
with
novel concept.
with its or. Well, I kind of said that backwards, but like, if you're driving and you know how in America or
That's
at least
the pedestrian's fault. They defer, so they always defer to the accuser, not the accused.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, so whoever's accusing, they usually defer to that person first.
What I'm saying is, if you're a cop and
No, I get the cop thing because
No,
that's basically how I see law enforcement here. Like what's becoming on here because I hear that from cops all the time.
Okay, yeah, I would say nowadays. Yes.
Nowadays, I would say cops are in
But
the same boat for that
pre-COVID,
kind of thing.
pre-COVID.
Yeah, pre-COVID, I would say
the cops
pre-BLM.
The cops kind of had an edge. Like when a cop comes to your house, like they're trying to find shit. Would you say?
It depends on the circumstance. Like, are they
When a
banging?
cop
Are they
pulls
banging
you-
down your door? Or are they
When a
like
cop
just
pulls
asking
you
a
over,
question? I mean,
do you ever get nervous when you're around a cop?
well, yeah, but I guess it just depends on what I'm doing. If I know I'm doing something fucking stupid,
Yeah.
yeah no shit. But it's like when I get
When
pulled over and I don't think there's any issue, This is something I don't get why people are just so concerned about the cops. Most cops just don't really want to bug you. It's just like if you make their day easier, they're not going to give a shit about you either.
For me,
that's my experience at least.
For me, I understand why every cop needs to be like hard as fuck. Like just because they deal with a lot of different types of people.
They deal with a lot of bullshit.
What I'm saying is, why the hell do they gotta always act like a dick? Because whenever I've had experience with a cop, I've been pulled over.
Yeah.
And maybe I was going 5 to 10 over the speed limit. But he doesn't have to be a dick about it. You know what I mean? And they're usually just generally not nice, at least.
No, I get what you're saying. There are cops that are, I agree with you, that are like guilty of...
I've had a few cops that have been just understanding, at least.
State troopers, in my experience, tend to be more abrasive than just normal police cops, and I don't know. I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, even cops generally. I
want my police to be someone who I can depend on and someone who I can like trust in a bad situation. Yeah. I don't want them to be like my boss or like somebody telling me what to do.
Well, they are in a position of authority. That's the point.
I know.
That's the point of their job. That's, I think, what people are
What I'm saying is, in Korea, though, they are much less of an authority and much more of just like
a presence.
A social service, maybe? A help. They're just...
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Like, I get where you're going. I don't know how to explain that either, but they're more just like present for the safe, like
exactly,
not exactly externally of their own validity, but they wait for people to come to them. They're not as.
In my opinion, it's extremely easier for a cop to have a penalty in Korea than it is in America.
Yeah, that's fair. That's Okay.
So I don't remember where that tangent.
We don't really. I don't feel like we had a plan with that one.
No,
but that's fair. Yeah. There's a lot of issues with cops that bug me. I don't know. Generally, my issue with people, like how people talk about cops, like right now, especially, is because like I don't think people realize the wide spectrum that we put our cops under every day. Because it's like from homeless people to like literally getting murdered, I think people forget that cops they're wired to think that like it's life or death. Mm-hmm. That's why they're always grabbing. That's why they always grab for their pistol. Sure. It's not because they want to shoot people, but it's because a lot of those guys you may not know, but they've seen their partners get gunned down by a dude who whips it out faster than you can even blink. Totally. That's why they're always, when people have their hands places, they get sketched out. You need to understand that that's what they're thinking. It's not because. Again, I'm not saying there's not bad cops out there by any means. There are fucking terrible cops out there that need to be held accountable for being shitty. But I am saying, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I've heard countless stories from cops, like horror stories of just guys getting, come over to the car. They walk up and then they shoot him 6 times before they can even get to draw on him. Yep. And that's when, like, when they see a kid running around with something, they can't see what's in his hands. Their mind they don't know because they've seen that kind of stuff happen. It's why they don't tend not to get in trouble. It's because you tend to defer to police. That's like a police union thing too. They defend police, which is like you should do that to an extent, but I don't know. I agree with you to an extent. Cops should be held more accountable for certain things. But
this is my point. I understand why cops are so on edge. Exactly the reason that you just said. Mm-hmm. I just wish that they weren't.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that we could do to fix that. And that I actually did enjoy a lot of the conversations I had with people when a lot of that heated conversation was going. I tried to bring it back when I was like, look, I never even considered... I thought the whole defunding the police thing was stupid. Yeah. Like, if you really... It was just people... Like, break it down. Like, think about it. You're really going to get rid of police? Yeah. That's really what your goal is? What... We're going to replace them with everything. It's like, okay, I get where you're going with this, and I'm not opposed to having an alternative. Sure. But you know what I'm saying? You're not going to send a therapist out to deal with the crackhead because when that therapist gets stabbed, it works back up the ladder. Then you have 3 people that then the cops have to deal with. Exactly. The cops aren't going anywhere. They can't deal with everything. There are some people who you cannot deal with reasonably that need to be detained in some capacity. And that's not, I don't think, a terrible thing. But again...
Speaking of crackheads, good segue.
Good segue.
Did you hear about the new legislation being proposed in Washington?
Oh, God, I'm sure I'm not going to like it.
There's a new bill on the floor.
Okay.
That is basically, I don't remember exactly how it's worded, but effectively it it makes it illegal for anybody to camp on any basically any governmental property or any basically non-camping ground site.
So it's now illegal?
So it's now illegal to be homeless in Washington. But
thank
it's
God.
not passed yet. They're just talking about it right now. It's still
fuck.
just a bill. But do you think that's a good thing?
I think that's an amazing thing. Because in my I think I have a taboo opinion on this, and I'm more than willing to accept the heat that I have on this issue.
Let's
but
hear.
I don't. It's getting so bad here, dude. You see how it is. I mean, they're literally building small cities in some of these areas of Portland, and it's becoming to the point where I'm not saying they have an easy life, but I think they're comfortable. I think they're comfortable with the leverage that the government has allowed them to the point where they can extend doing what they're doing without really suffering. Do you get what I'm saying? They're suffering, but not to the point where they feel they need to change. Their behavior is being dragged out by politicians and various people because of they want to be compassionate, and I understand that, but I think it's honestly making the problem worse because you're encouraging people on. Again, I don't think you're encouraging homelessness, but you're making it easier for these people to get resources and encouraging that the people, like, you know what I'm saying? It's encouraging the kinds of people who are on the verge that, oh, there is an escape for me and there is resources that I can have access to. And that's my stake on the issue when I think, like, I'm not opposed to helping people in that sense, but I don't want to just give them things. I would rather put a program in to where they are no longer homeless. I don't see the benefit in just dragging it out. I see if you make their life hard, they're going to get more motivated to get off the street because if it gets hard enough, it's human instinct. It's fight or flight. You're going to either fix yourself or you're going to just swallow back up.
So I think the new bill said that it would basically bar people who were on the street for like more than 3 days or something like that.
Well, yeah.
Do you think that's the right path?
I think having to move people, yeah, because again, when they stay there, it's like if you drive a lot of places on like the 205 in Portland and stuff like that, I literally see cars parked in some of these places now. They're literally parking cars.
Sure.
They become just crime places. They just all congregate, and then they can deal drugs and other things like that, and then it becomes a place where they know they have sanctuary in a sense. By making them move, you're eliminating their need to stay in one place. And when you stay in one place, you then, like, you know, you grow roots, you get comfortable. And by forcing people to move around, you then force them to either, like, again, find something to do productively there or go somewhere where you're tolerated more, I suppose. And it's kind of a fucked up thing to say, but I don't see any other solution to it at this point, because clearly giving them resources doesn't solve the problem. I mean, COVID has definitely not helped at all with this, but...
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think we're just way too lenient about it. I mean, it's been...
we, do you mean Oregonians?
I think Oregonians, Washingtons... I think the United States, and maybe not more southern states.
Some areas.
Yeah, there's some areas of the United States, like definitely rich areas, obviously, take a certain stance about it, and you can see, like...
California, New York.
Well, not even so much that. There's neighborhoods, like, around here in this area.
Yeah.
But, like, that, you know, it's like, they make homelessness illegal to the sense, but, like, they like gated communities.
Like, yes.
Yeah,
okay,
and that, like, my community's a gated community, but honestly, we're actually having a homeless problem now.
Really?
There's a homeless camp where these people are basically hiking up down the road, walking up this hill, and basically scounging the neighborhoods for packages. They're taking packages off people's porches.
Jesus.
And it's like, we don't even know how bad it is, but it's gotten to the point where I'm like, I carry knives when I go on walks, because I'm like ready for one of these dudes to jump out of the bush, come at me. It's too dangerous out here, man. That's just what I see. I don't see any other solution to it at this point. And that's what I mean. I feel like just the governments of Washington and Oregon have really just kind of not turned a blind eye to it, but just dragged the problem out and not really addressed, like, the source of the problem. Like, they're putting Band-Aids on a problem that there's a different solution to, you know?
Do you know how they deal with it in Europe? Have you ever heard?
I actually don't know. Yeah, that is it. I've heard various things.
So it depends on the country, of course.
Yeah, I'm sure Eastern Europe is probably a little bit more
brutal.
brutal.
Yeah, but when I was in Germany, I asked about this problem because you rarely see
homeless people.
Homeless.
Yeah.
And I was very curious as to like why. Obviously, because I'm from Portland and we have a lot of homeless.
Yeah, that's kind of that was part of life before it was like, even bad.
I
mean, that was and that's the thing too. Is like I accepted homelessness like at an early age living here.
Yeah,
that's just it was just part of growing up. It's a
we
fucked
have
up
it
thing
in
to
Oregon
say.
City. We have it in Portland.
It never used to be here though. You know that it was never this bad.
Well, no, of course not. No, it's definitely gotten worse.
But yeah, homelessness was definitely a pillar of. But it's like it's when it's like. They're just different, like now. You know what I'm saying? It's just like they get in your face. They're always they just make it. It's just dirty, man. It makes our city look bad. It makes everything look bad. We need to do something about it. Otherwise, it's
so. This is the solution they had in Germany. Every single city. It's a government, basically. Like I don't know if it's a law or regulation or what exactly it is. The government gives every single city in Germany an allowance and basically a safe house.
And Deutsches Geld.
I don't know, but
yeah.
Any police who sees somebody that's homeless on the side of the road is required to pick them up, take them to their whatever the closest city's safe house is, and drop them off there. And there are people who work there that are paid by the government, basically to like manage the people coming in and out.
Okay.
There's never a problem with like too many because every single city has an allowance.
Yeah.
And obviously the people are paying for it.
So let me ask you this. So they just give them how much? Is it a set amount? Does it depend if you have like children, if you're just on your own?
I'm not exactly sure of the specifics. I just know that they get a room. I don't think they have to pay for it.
And they just get to stay until they get on their feet, or like
I think so.
Until they find a job, or
I'm not exactly sure of the requirements to be in there, but all I know is every single city has one. The cops are required to pick them up and take them there. They don't have to pay anything to be in the house. I think that they can stay as long as they want, but I don't think that they stay very long.
Yeah.
I think another thing with most cultures besides some places in the U.S. is homelessness is very Oh no.
You should be okay.
Okay, yeah, I think I'll be fine.
I think you're good. Homelessness is what? Sorry.
Shoot, I totally lost my train. Oh, it's frowned upon in other cultures.
Yeah.
And it's not as frowned upon here as it is in like Germany, like it's a very big shame to your
family.
And
it gets associated with you.
Yeah. And in South Korea, Japan, China, it's not even that it's like they don't even have those safe houses. It's literally just like the culture that stops the homeless there.
Yeah.
Like if you are homeless, nobody gives you money.
Yeah.
Nobody gives you any time of day.
So you're telling me when you remove all incentive and any help, it almost disappears? Are you telling me when you encourage a family culture where that kind of behavior is shamed upon and you have to get your that's mind-boggling to me.
I know, right?
Whoa.
Isn't it a novel concept?
That's such a novel concept. That's, oh my God. That's what, but, okay, again. Oregon's a special case, because I don't know how many people are familiar with the Oregon homeless story, but have you ever watched Wild Country?
I've heard of it.
That cult in cult in the mid-'80s in Antelope, Oregon.
I started watching it.
They bust people here, homeless people from around the country. They bust them here. They would ship them here from around the country. Really? So our homeless problem it had always been an Oregon problem. Again, we have like a more moderate climate. Yeah. If I was homeless, I'd probably live somewhere on the West Coast. The East Coast is terrible. It's too fucking cold, humid. Here it just rains and it's not that bad most of the year. Fair. If I was really homeless, I'm going to Laguna Beach. Honestly, I don't know why anybody would go anywhere else. They pay for everything.
I've heard the homeless population in San Francisco.
It's so bad. I had a point. Yeah, I had a point. Anyway, I had a train of thought to this. God damn it! Why do we keep doing this? Shit. Anyway, no, I don't.
Anyways, sorry.
Oh no. So okay, I think I remember. So we were started on the Germany train. I think that's where I was going with this. Was I think a big part of the problem was a lot of our homeless problem. I think originated from veterans as well.
That's
like the Vietnam especially.
Yeah.
And I think there's just kind of this drawn out stigma of homelessness that carried on from there, that look, a lot of that was not those guys' fault. We
Yeah.
put them through a lot, and then they came back here, and they weren't able to integrate. And we didn't take care of them, and that was our fault. Again, our fault. That was our grandparents' fault.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever say our generation is the problem. It wasn't.
Well,
it's not yet.
Well,
we're not there yet.
Well, it's not our generation. But
We're not
I have a
really
caveat,
making the moves
caveat.
yet. You know.
Continue.
Okay, but long story short, where I'm going with this is like that. I feel like was a slight. Whoever called Nick, fuck yourself. You're ruining the podcast.
Oh no, it was Jihoon. Jihoon's my homie. You would love Jihoon, bro.
I don't think I've ever heard of the name Jihoon.
Jihoon? Oh, Jihoon's chill. He's
Is that like an off-brand like Arabic Jeep? Jihoon?
Jihoon? No.
Or is that like a Korean Jeep? That's what sounds. Jihoon. What are you driving? Jihoon. Like
Jihoon.
see it? No, it's like like when a car. Like that's what that sounds. I don't know you. I'm sorry. I'm making fun of your name.
No, Jihoon's chill. He's funny. He's a good guy. So, what have you been doing these days, bud? What have you been doing to keep busy?
Well, at the moment, I'm working 2 jobs now.
Really?
So, yeah, I just started my second job this week. I work for my parents right now for their financial company. I do equipment financing. That's been an interesting ride. I'm coming up pretty close to about a year doing, actually no, about 8 months doing that. But I just started a startup as well of a roofing company that I'm in process of building up with a business partner of mine. So yeah, it's actually been interesting past couple of weeks. A lot of time spent marketing, trying to figure out where money's going, all that good stuff.
Quick question. Mm-hmm. Do either you or your business partner have any knowledge or want to learn how to tile?
Our benefactor or our investor, as you might want to call him, his secondary company does that
tile,
kind of.
Okay.
Yes.
My dad says that he could make anybody rich.
Is that where the money's at right now?
Apparently.
Tiling.
He says that they are paying absurd amounts.
Like any kind of tiling, or is it like anything specific?
I think it's flooring. I think it's countertops. I think it's backsplashes.
This is a riveting conversation to you.
I know. Don't
listening.
you just love fucking
tiling?
Anyways, please tell me more about the business. Just keep that in mind.
No, that's fair. I'm with you now. Okay, like there's a lot of business ideas getting floated around.
Why flooring? Roofing.
Well, it wasn't my idea, actually. It was something that was kind of thrown in my lap, in a sense. So I was working for a landscape company for a little bit there, Andres Landscaping. I was doing irrigation. I was doing that previously. I had done that for like 2 years. Got to know sprinklers pretty well.
Okay.
Got sick of the manual labor, walked away from that company, and then he had approached me after the fact and had kind of wanted to start up another company. Said he had always been interested in like roofing.
By he, you mean the owner of Andres?
Yes, Andres Landscaping. Andres. He had approached me about that, and my business partner he approached both of us and asked if we were interested in starting up a new company with him. And he basically he's our investor, and we're starting up this company in his name to be a roofing company as. He's a landscaping company, like I said, so he is basically moving from one... He just wants to open up a tertiary company, basically, is what it is. Because he wants to get into that market without taking up his landscape guys. Okay. So we're starting this company up for him.
Gonna get new employees.
Like there's a lot of semantics and complicated... Sure. Like, we're still kind of in the weeds right now, but that's about as detailed as I can get into it at the moment. We're getting the logo tomorrow. The name of the company, if you need a roof, is Andres Exteriors. You're welcome to give me a call. Taylor Schwint is my name. If you want to reach out to me, get a roof.
Get a roof.
Sorry, I didn't mean to plug myself on your podcast.
You're fine. Please plug. Plug away.
But yeah, that's what's been going on with me. Just working finance, talking to a lot of truckers, loggers, that kind of thing. Nice. Dirty guys with fucking cheap purses and fucking shitty accents.
I don't know why, and I don't want to make any stereotypes, but this conversation is reminding me of Mexico. Please tell me of your favorite experience in Mexico.
You just wanted me to tell you this. You want me to
your
tell
least favorite experience. Favorite experience and least favorite experience, if you can think of it.
So my favorite experience in Mexico probably comes down to that booze cruise we did 2 years ago. Or you were on that,
That
right?
was last year, wasn't it?
No, it was 2 years ago now.
With Sam
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
Owen and
Yes.
Tyler and Kaylee.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was last year.
No, that was 2 years ago because we were supposed to go last year, but I had to go to Phoenix.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so this was, dude, time flies. We're getting old. I know. It's
Shit.
fucked up.
Shit.
I know, right? So this trip, yeah, that was 2 years ago.
Shit,
So
that
we
was
go
fun.
to Cabo San Lucas every year. My parents bought a timeshare when I was about 12. So we went last year. You know, everybody pretty much just graduated at that point. All of us had, or were about to. We go on this booze cruise, and dude, you remember that fucking boat? Like, that was probably the most
Sketchy.
ghetto boat I have ever
Sketchy.
fucking
That's
been
all
on
I
in
gotta
my
say.
life. It was built by this guy and his cousin Carlos, whoever the fuck he had in his family. That
How
they,
did you find that?
I didn't find that wasn't
Who
me.
found that?
I don't even remember.
Was it like Tyler and Chiave in that?
It may have been my
Wait, was
mother.
Chiave there? Chiave wasn't there.
No, Chiave
Riley
didn't come
was
on
there,
that
but
trip.
Chiave-
Yeah, Riley was there. Yeah. That was one of our friends. Yeah, that had set that up. It wasn't one of the parents on that
okay.
trip. But no, dude, I remember this boat was so ghetto. It was basically like they took a catamaran. They took a catamaran with just like the two pontoons
Yeah,
down the middle.
yeah.
They welded something, just a flat surface on the top,
Yeah.
just a fat metal sheet across
Literally.
the lengthwise, expanded it a little bit, threw like railings on the side, and then basically in the middle of that fucking platform, they built a giant tower.
Yes.
That was the steering wheel,
Yeah.
and they just threw like 6 massive fucking
Well,
speakers.
you can't remember the most important part. At the,
The
bottom
bar,
of the tower
and then
was the bar.
and then so you come. So again, it's just pontoons, a metal sheet, a bar that circumvents a tower where the fucking thing is at. There is no sense of aerodynamics to this boat. There is no engineering in any. There is no.
anything.
Have you ever seen the Bee Movie?
Yeah.
When they go in the explanation of why a bee shouldn't
Oh, yeah,
fly,
yeah.
it's basically this
That.
boat. There is no scientific reason that should explain why this boat should be floating and or moving forward. That being said, we get on this thing and honestly, it became a blur quick.
Okay, well, no, I want to say at first it was really awkward with those other people.
Yeah, 'cause-
Everybody was just like sitting there and just
Yeah,
like,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how many people have ever been on a booze cruise before, but generally, obviously you go on
There's
it with other people. It
people-
depends, but
How many people were on the boat total? In our group, there was probably 10.
we had like probably 12 in our group at least by that
Okay,
point.
okay,
We had
maybe
at least 12 of us, maybe like 10 or like 10 to 12,
10 to 15,
10 to
10 to
12,
15.
somewhere in that
Yeah.
range. And then on the boat, there was probably another small
25?
group of like
Yeah.
there
I would
was
say total of
there was a
20,
bunch of groups
25.
of like smaller. Yeah, like I would
Small.
say there was probably another 20 or so people on the boat,
Yeah.
give or take. And it kind of ranged. Like there was, I think, 2 families.
Yeah.
And then the rest were like just the rest of them were about our age. They were all college kids.
Yeah.
I think they went to Boulder,
Yeah,
if I remember
something-
right. It's
something
like
I
CU
remember.
Boulder.
And then it got quickly blurry.
Yeah, so
the
after that,
awkward
yeah,
first
and then
stage,
again,
we
this-
started going out.
Yeah, this guy again. They didn't call it the Tarzan boat, but this guy looked like Tarzan. Fucking, he was like 5 foot. He had that hair down to his shoulders.
They did call it the Tarzan boat.
No, that's the one that my brother goes on. That like
Oh.
gymnastics one out there.
Okay,
But
that's
no, this
weird.
boat, yeah. Again, so we start going, and they had this weird concoction. So once everybody started drinking, it all kind of became cool.
Yeah,
They started blasting
definitely.
the music. We go out of the bay. We're going to snorkeling. We got halfway there when I really started. When I really mentally checked out. I think that was about when my the booze had really taken me at that point. Because we got there and this boat, there was no regulation that
No.
went into the creation of this boat.
This
This booze cruise in general was a pretty ghetto trip in terms of like the kind of guys that were putting it on. Like it would be like Daryl and his buddy Rick running like a fan boat out in Louisiana,
literally.
like it's same kind of shit. So we're on this thing.
It was like if the Trailer Park Boys had a fucking booze
Yeah,
cruise,
exactly.
Like, literally.
It would be exactly like that. Oh, we got these pontoon things. Let's get some
Yeah.
speakers on it. Like, yeah.
Screw in some fucking metal sheets and we're
Basically
good to go.
make that Spanish. Yeah, that's what you
yeah,
have.
make it Spanish, exactly.
Yeah, and we get there to a snorkeling spot. I'd been there before too, I remember, but the guy goes, you guys aren't allowed to, like, he didn't speak super good English, so he's like, no, you guys not allowed to, like, not wear life jackets. And we were with, it was me and Tyler.
Yeah.
And I think you were kind of like off to the side at this
Yeah.
point, but like me and him were shooting the shit with him. And he's like, yeah, you guys can't wear life jackets. And we're like, dude, we dive all the time. Like,
Yeah.
we grew up on the river, so we were like, He goes, "Oh, you're like Aquaman," and we literally threw the shit and like we both just did backflips, and he goes, "Oh yeah, you're fine, no life jacket," even though he's probably legally obligated to give us life jackets.
Sure.
That's Mexico, shit happens. He gave us Costco rotisserie chickens after that. Chicken. That was our lunch on the booze cruise, was a Costco rotisserie chicken with just like it was a blast though. I can't say it wasn't.
It was
fun.
One of the best things that
that was probably that was probably one of my more fun times in Cabo.
That was one of the best trips overall, I think. That was the same trip that my fucking dad got blacked out and ran away from everyone, and we hid from everyone, and he was so blacked out that nobody knew where he was, so Tyler and I had to go and fucking find him. We just thought he was literally in the streets because all the parents were at that fucking bar across the street. And then lo and behold, we literally just find him
sitting by the pool.
It's like
by himself.
10 p.m. or 11 p.m. at night.
Like,
and he's just sitting there, like not doing anything, and we're just like, dude, what are you doing? And he's
Cabo is like Vegas. It just has this way of the people that don't usually get drunk in your life, Cabo has this way of finding a way one night just to ruin them. And that's always the case. And it's always so fun. God, I was going to say something. I had a point to be made after that. Oh my God. Oh, that was my best time. And that shit was funny. Your dad was probably one of the funnier times too. That was a fun trip. But honestly, one of my worst times was also that trip. And I know you want to say it was the night you dragged me. God knows, in a Mexican neighborhood, miles and miles spent walking, promising an Uber was around the corner, in a neighborhood with no street lights. Again,
at least it was downhill. At least
we weren't women. Dude, that would not have been good. Regardless,
it was a safe neighborhood.
Honestly, as Mexican neighborhoods,
nice hills, like that was a nice place.
As Mexican neighborhoods go, that
was better than
the places to get lost. There were far worse places. I would rather, there were places I would rather not be lost in than that.
I've been in worse situations.
I have too. I'll cut you the slack there. But that was not my worst night. That was my worst day was probably the day. It was that one real hard bender we had. That I dropped like $700 in one night.
Oh fuck!
Yeah, I don't know
about that.
Yeah, do you remember that?
What club was that?
Mandalas. Yeah, and we were there every night. Yeah, and I don't know.
I wasn't even there for that.
I think you had passed out that night before that because I had only gone out with like Andres and Aunt Cloyd. I think that night.
Please tell me how that night went. I would like to.
So that night, that was about midway through the trip. I remember. So we're about midway through this trip, and everybody about midway through the trip. If you're there for like 7 days in Cabo, you kind of need a midweek reprieve, kind of rehydrate.
That's where I was.
Yeah, most people kind of hit a wall, but like I was there for like 5 days. I had already kind of had my midweek, so I was kind of kicking back into party mode. And me and like two of my other friends who were there were kind of still in that, and we were just determined not to quit. So. Everybody else had decided to more or less stay in that night. We went out.
It was you, Sam, and
Andres and Cloyd. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, Andres and Cloyd. Okay.
I
wouldn't surprise me.
Semi-positive.
I was gonna say Cloyd.
But we were meeting up. I don't think this was the same night, but we were meeting up with a friend of ours from college, from U of O. She was also there, and she had her birthday. She had hit us up and wanted us to come say what's up at her birthday party. She had her parents there. That was a fun. No, that was a different because you were there that night. That was a different night. I remember you were there. So. Again, I'm getting off track here. Long story short,
they meshed together.
All these nights meshed together. 7 days of Mexico really blend and fuzzy.
Yeah.
But so the night we went out, it was just the 3 or 4 of us, and we bought a table every night. We were at a table with bottle service every single night. And not even on our own purchasing. We had finagled the girls with us. God bless them. They had finagled bottle service for us several times. And we had just coughed it up ourselves. It ends up honestly being worth the money.
Definitely.
Sometimes it really does.
Yeah, probably.
But so we go get bottle service, and then
that night you did buy bottle service.
We went out with the intention of doing it. We were going like we're going to get our own table. We're just gonna hang out, do our own thing, whatever.
Yeah.
We got there, and I remember it started pretty mildly. They give you 3 bottles of Grey Goose. And 3 bottles of Grey Goose between like 4 or 5 of you. Plus, chicks come up and take shots.
Yeah.
When you're drunk, you don't really notice. They steal them from you.
Yeah.
You don't mind your business.
Sure.
It fucking happens.
It's
Cabo. What are you going to do? So, again, more or less between 3 or 4 of us, we kill 3 bottles of Grey Goose. Then it gets fuzzy there. That's where it really started to get questionable because, again, it comes and goes. I ran into Rory that night, I'm pretty sure, in Cabo. Rory Gavush. If you are chiming into this, I'm pretty sure this was the night I ran into you.
I remember.
Because he was on the dance floor. You remember that. Again,
so I must have been
this
there
was that night. I think a lot of people had left.
I was there, but I left.
People had left this night. That's
because I remember
it's coming
seeing
back
Rory.
to me now.
I remember seeing Rory.
Rory, if you're watching this, I don't remember if you're hammered, but he had basically side story to this sidebar. Rory's a high school friend of ours. We're in the club doing whatever. This is earlier in the night, so whatever. I literally look out in the club. I kind of see vaguely a face that looks familiar. He just, and like I matched him, and he knew me on like as soon as I matched his energy, he knew on the spot who I was. I literally sprinted through a packed club, Spring Break Cabo. There's probably 500 people in this just general like 600 square foot area. I barrel through this fucking crowd to like go see this motherfucker. Hilarious sidebar to that story. That just made the night even so much. Again, this trip was really just the accumulation of all these trips.
You were telling me this is your least favorite experience.
Yeah, and this is my least favorite experience this night. Again, even my worst. They were just this trip was
Cabo
just full of stories.
If
you have not been to Cabo, I highly recommend it. But yeah, so after all,
how did you get to fucking like a ridiculous amount? That you
dude, that's the thing. The bottles are like $80 a pop.
Yeah,
give
I
or
remember
take.
taking a shot and it was like $14.
Yeah, so I guess again we must have had more people come and go at that point then. But
are people able to order bottles?
You have to order them individually, and we split.
Okay, so you have to go up to the table.
It was me and Tyler, because I remember Tyler.
Yeah.
So me, Tyler, Cloyd, and Sam. I think it was just us 5 that had really made it out. And we had all generally split bottles back and forth. Sure. I remember everybody else had at least spent $300-400 as well. But I think I had just I don't know. I wish I could tell you. I wish I could say that night comes to me in waves, but it doesn't. It doesn't. There's zero. There is a just blank slate from about fucking I would say 11:45 until about
2 or 3.
No, like probably 5 a.m. Like literally, it was. So that whole night goes by, basically. I am fucking destroyed. There is nothing in this night that I recollect that most people can even accumulate to my behavior at this point. It was just a blank slate. I never put it together. This drunk night will forever escape me. God knows what I did. I woke up in the next morning in my hotel room, too, thank God. And the night slowly came to me in waves, I remember, in the morning. And it was one of those things where I just had like a sinking feeling. You just felt shitty. I couldn't tell why. And I didn't know for about the first half hour, but I just had this off feeling like I had done something terrible. And I didn't know what it was. But as the day slowly dragged on and the hangover slowly started to fade into mild wanting to kill myself, it came to me that I had literally pulled my card out probably 7 times that night, which... It was not a good sign. So I checked my bank account. That was a fucking night of a hit, man. I hope it was worth it, me, wherever you are in my own brain. But $700 was not probably the most wise decision. My mother was also there, so that was not a fun conversation to have with my mother. That I had just lost $700, and not even like again. It wasn't like I lost it gambling.
Just like
I didn't get mugged. I didn't fucking
drinking.
no. I was just drinking. I just drank my money's worth, and my body paid the price that next day. I will tell you that.
God.
It had to have been 6 bottles, man.
Yeah,
I'm telling you. I don't
just
think
yourself. Like just you paid that.
That I at least paid, and I know for a fact. Again, I. Say what you will, call me a liar. I don't know what the fuck happened this night, but I would not have ordered that many bottles if I was not drinking them.
Of course.
And I'm finding it hard to believe I gave away that many bottles and drinks to people.
Yeah, for sure.
For no reason.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like
just yourself.
Just for myself. So again,
because there's a big group of you. There's like 4 or 5
I
of
think
you.
there was a cooperative effort to kill these bottles, and I think my effort was probably more so than other people's contribution may have been. Monetarily and physically, mentally, weak-willed people out there just are not willing to drink their fair share sometimes.
For sure. I feel you.
That was probably my worst night in Cabo, I would think, as it were, in terms of just the feeling of feeling bad.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like there were nights.
It was still a fun night. Even.
No,
Even that night was fun.
I guess that's a loaded. So there was nights I would definitely say where I didn't like more.
Yeah, but
the nights that were just less fun. I would say stories that hurt me the most. It's like a bad Vegas story, pretty much is what it is, but just in Mexico.
For sure.
Like I'm hunting for that bad Vegas story. We haven't had it yet.
I know.
You, Tyler, Sam, Trevor.
We gotta go to fucking Vegas.
We're going to Vegas. And we are all fucking losing something. I don't know if it's a piece of our soul, body, or money. It's going to be one of those three. Soul, body, or money. Soul. I'm probably going to be part of usually my soul goes. I don't remember if I told you either. On that Cabo trip, did I tell you Cloyd got the shakes? That was such a bad trip for a lot of us in terms of like the amount of alcohol that we consumed.
Dude, that guy drank more than I've
Cloyd,
ever seen.
fuck you for this trip as well. I will get you back for this trip, but he refused to let me sleep. He was in we were roommates during this trip. He refused to let me sleep. So we had a lot of the booze in our room. We bought Kirkland vodka. I don't know if you remember that, but when we go to Cabo, we go to Costco. There is a Costco there. Weird. Set up exactly the same as a Costco here, but just with a lot more Mexican people working there. Everything's in Spanish, it's a Mexican Costco. What do you expect?
Yeah.
You go in there and you get your booze, your cheap shit. You buy muffins, you get your food so you don't have to spend as much money. So basically we had 8 half gallons of Kirkland vodka that we just had sitting in our room.
More than one for each day of the week.
We had a minimum one for each day of the week, and again, that was to be split between like a lot of more people than everybody had pitched in. It was like
6 or 7 people.
We had finished all of it,
but we finished.
It wasn't even just those. There was probably 4/5 on top of that. And
no. The Kirklands were the pregame.
Yeah, the Kirklands were strictly. There was a strict budget for pregame booze.
Yes.
There was we
had also Don Julio's.
There was about 4 other bottles for that. There was a lot of tequila. There was a lot of whiskey. That trip was
that was the best trip so far.
I really do. I can really confidently say I lost years off my life. When I went on that trip, like it was just so fucked up.
It was worth it.
And I don't even remember it
in the best way possible.
In really the best way possible. And I don't even remember being that wild that trip either. To be honest with you, I felt like it was more of like a cooperative effort.
Everybody was just on.
Everybody
was vibing.
It was just one of those. There wasn't a lot of drama, which was nice.
Yeah.
There wasn't.
It was all just good vibes.
It was. Yeah, it was just a good trip, and I really did enjoy that about it.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I don't know. What's your least favorite trip experience? You are far more traveled Mr. Worldwide than I am.
You're talking about...
just generally, what would you say your least favorite experience is on your travels? In the world abroad.
Yeah, one time... Did I ever tell you the Amsterdam story?
Was that when you got mugged?
Not mugged, really, but some guy was... Okay, so it was...
This German guys? Is that this story?
No.
No, that's not this.
A different story.
Oh, okay.
One night, I was in fucking Amsterdam with my friend Ethan Grenfell. And
you've already
this is already half the story.
This is already the first step in the wrong direction.
I know.
I love you, Ethan, but fuck, I want to kill you.
Ethan's not gonna watch this. It's okay. You can say whatever the fuck you want about Ethan. I was in fucking Amsterdam with Ethan. And it was maybe our 3rd night in Amsterdam.
Okay.
Obviously, we got fucked up every night. It's fucking
It's Amsterdam. The red light district, the weed.
So
you do what you do.
One night, we're, out bars, clubbing. Mm-hmm. We meet this fucking... Oh, no. It was after we got out of one bar, we were on our way to the next. And Ethan was like, oh, I really want some fucking cocaine. And I'm like, all right, well, where the fuck are we going to find that, Ethan? And he's like, dude, it's Amsterdam. Like, they just have it here.
Have it here.
And I'm like, all right, dude, like, let's fucking go. Mm. And we fucking find this guy. And the dude's, like, sketch as hell. Like, this guy's high on his own supply kind of guy. Like, fucking tweaking out, shaking, fucking, like, he was on some, not just cocaine.
Like, yeah, this sounds like my kind of drug dealer.
And Ethan's, like, trying to haggle with him. And the dude's like, oh, like, $200 for 1 gram. And we're like, bruh, no, we're not paying that. Like, that's fucked up. And we're like, whatever, haggling with him. Ends up, he's still just too high. So we're, like, high price.
Okay.
And also probably high on some shit. And we're like, nah, fuck that. Like, we're getting the fuck out of here. So we just start literally walking away, and the dude's like, hey, he literally grabs my arm. He's like, you can't fucking leave. Like, you've wasted my time. And we're like, no, we don't want to buy your fucking drugs.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. And we literally just, like, shug him off, and we just start walking, and the dude's, like, following us. He's like, you can't fucking leave. You have to fucking buy right
I think
now.
you may have. I think we may have told me this story.
And
it's
then,
coming back to me.
And basically, I mean, the guy literally acts like he has a gun. He literally, I can see
nobody
his
has
hand.
a gun in Europe.
And that's exactly what I said. I was like, bro, I literally saw you put your hand in your pocket. You literally don't have a gun. And he's like, you gotta pay me. You gotta pay me. And he starts, like, grabbing us. And I literally just fucking, like, push him. And then he fucking grabs a fucking knife out of his other pocket. Fucking swings at me, slices my fucking head.
Oh, Jesus. Just...
And as soon as that happened...
Takes a swing.
Yeah. As soon as that happens, this literal 8-foot fucking... Not actually 8 foot... Portuguese man comes and fucking demolishes him. Soccer player. Fucking
just
levels
ground
his
and
ass.
pounds. Oh,
Literally
my God.
levels the
like
fucking
rugby
dude's
tackles
ass.
him.
And we were like, whoa, what the fuck? Thank you, like, hell yeah, and we're like, let's go buy you a fucking beer.
Portuguese!
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
The dude speaks, like, no English.
Oh, God. That's probably the best, though.
Oh, it was fucking
I'm sure
great.
it was a great
after
time.
that, it was fucking great. But, like, that was fucking scary as hell when a fucking random crack dealer fucking pulls a fucking knife on you.
Yeah.
That was sketch as hell.
Jesus. I think that I have heard that story, too. Yeah, God bless it.
Probably one of the most sketch things that's happened. Other than that, like,
I've never been threatened before, but fuck, dude, that is a little sketchy.
Yeah, the worst things that's happened is, like, I've gotten, like, ridiculously lost with, like, no fucking service or anything.
Really?
And I've just had to literally walk for miles, especially in Korea, because they don't have, like, Google Maps.
Oh, I was about to say the urban sprawl's different there too, like.
Oh, but it wasn't even in the urban, buddy. We were
really?
I mean, it was like. The urban mixes with the fucking rural.
Really?
So it's literally like from walking from town to town, like there is just...
You get that good farmland in between.
Yeah.
I didn't actually think of Korea that way. It's a pretty small country.
Oh, it's a really small country, but very mountainous and
really?
Lots of rural
places.
I
guess. Mm-hmm.
Lots of rural. It's like very dense city populations.
Yeah.
And then like miles of rural.
Have you ever seen those skyline pictures of Tokyo? Like how big the urban sprawl. It's
great.
Crazy
it's
how
fucking massive, bro.
Like how much just like city it is right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
I've been to Japan and it is fucking insane.
It's all
just
like
being there. It takes you
how
literally
much
an
nature
hour.
do they have there as well? Because isn't it still pretty natural?
It's very well mixed with that. That's where Japanese gardens come from, man.
Well, no, I know that. Thank you.
I went to fucking.
Gee, I didn't know that. I didn't know the technique of Japanese gardening came from Japan.
Obviously, I went to fucking the base of Mount Fuji, and I went to a fucking spa in the base of Mount Fuji, which was fucking amazing.
Well, yeah, Japan's like one of those places too where like everybody's been locked in on that island for so long. Everybody's kind of found everything there is to find there, so they've kind of like, you know what I'm saying? They've left these areas alone for very long times for very, I think, specific reasons.
Case in point, they have a really good, I would say, nature scene in Japan.
They still have pandas there, don't they?
I don't know if they have natural.
Did they have
It's
pandas?
only in China, I think. Natural pandas, I think, are only.
They have a lot of cool like.
I know they have a zoo, obviously, but
no, I know, but I think Japan's got a lot of those cool. Japan's got a lot of cool like salamanders and weird like lake creatures and stuff like that.
Dude,
that you
the worst thing in Korea and Japan, cicadas, bro.
Really?
Dude, it's so bad in the summer. It's like deafening. Like you literally just walk outside and it's just like wee 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 wee. You're like, what the fuck is that?
I would not have expected that.
It sounds like power lines. You know have you ever been like clacked?
Oh yeah, and then they click over the top of you, right?
Exactly like that, but like every single
current.
every single tree is just a huge
pocket of them.
Yeah. And it's just like, and they're big fuckers. Like they're huge things. Like, and they're everywhere, bro.
Interesting.
Like, I never would have expected that, but I think
I never thought of those
I think
places
they like
as,
the humid climate. It's very.
Is it humid there?
Oh,
in
bro.
Korea?
Especially more in Japan, but
I imagine more south it is. Yeah.
You know me. You know me.
Yeah, you white motherfucker.
You remember my sweaty days.
I hate you so much.
Those days pale in comparison to when I'm in fucking Japan or Korea in the summer in August. It's literally I'm wearing
For those of you who need to know, Nick is
I sweat more than the average human being.
Nick is notoriously sweaty, and growing up playing basketball with you was not my favorite thing because it was almost a defense.
Yeah,
Because I would try to post up on you with a shoulder, and I would literally just slide off of you and like almost fall over sometimes because I would put so much of my weight trying to just pin you. And you just couldn't get a grip, but fuck, that's gross.
So imagine that. Imagine it's fucking like it's like fucking midnight, and it's fucking like 90 degrees.
It gets that hot
Dude,
there?
it's that fucking hot. It's so fucking humid, bro. It's the tropical climate. It's
pretty north, though.
Like I said, in Korea, yes. In Japan,
I know, like less so, yeah.
And Singapore also.
I guess they are on the Pacific. It's more. Yeah, I'm sure that plays
islands.
a big part of it. Yeah.
Fucking, I mean, like
Korea's not
peninsula.
Come on now, let's.
Sorry.
Question actually on on another topic. North Korea. What is your general sense that like South Koreans feel about that down there? I'm kind of curious. Like, how do they feel about it? How do you feel about it after being in South Korea for so long?
So I was very fortunate to have gone to the DMZ.
Oh, you did? Cool.
I've been in North Korea. Actually, we got to cross the line.
They just let you walk over it?
No, you can take a special taxi, a special bus. That lets you get to a special location across the border.
So you've been to North Korea?
I have been to North Korea. I've never met a North Korean.
That you know of.
That I know of. But apparently they're really weird. It's just because, like, if you've met a North Korean that has come to the South, they're just not, like, cultured, you know?
Yeah.
So they're just, like, awkward and, like, socially awkward, I think.
I just thought of something really funny that like kind of relates to that. I'm obviously that is probably attributed to obviously the dictatorship and all of that. Yeah. But sidebar, that would remind me of imagine what it was like being a kid in the like late 40s reintegrating around Hitler Youth kids.
Oh God.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like that would be a funny movie. Like if you've ever seen Jojo Rabbit, I've
never seen that. Did
really
you
good movie.
Is it?
Very.
I was wondering
it's
when it came
weirdly
out.
dark.
Okay,
but very
it's
funny. It's
Hitler
funny.
Youth. Like, it's
but
really
the guy who plays Hitler's Chilan. Like what the fuck? It's very strange. It's a great movie though. Scarlett Johansson is always the tits of the movie. Dude, God bless her.
She was my first fucking crush, bro. Like first celebrity crush.
We can go. That's a whole nother podcast. We could talk about Scarlett Johansson. That anyways, that was just something I thought of. Like imagine I imagine it's kind of similar to, you know, a German person or a normal person trying to integrate with a Hitler Youth kid. You're like, hey, you want to have a puzzle? I want to burn the Jews.
I want to kill the Jews.
You're like, we don't do that here anymore. Like, you just have to, like, you gotta, like, break it to them, you know what I'm saying? Like, is like there needs to be a movie, a class that they need to sit through.
Yes.
This is not okay.
Well, and that's the thing. When a North Korean does come back, they do have to take classes.
I'm sure it's probably quite an adjustment.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that.
So getting on to what they actually feel.
Yeah, sorry. I just thought that was funny.
Most young people definitely believe reunification will happen in their lifetime.
Do they?
Old people do not.
They've got the prejudice.
So it's funny. Actually, in South Korea, it's very similar to America in that they have their Republicans and they have very right-wing people. And they have a very right-wing party that's very much against reunification, very much old people-centered, dominated, I would say.
Okay.
There's a lot of Republicans.
I was going to say, I'm sure it's very nuanced.
In the same way that Republicans are against or are for border security, the Republicans in Korea are for the border security.
Well, can you blame them?
No. And
they have a little bit more excuse.
Yeah, no.
What
I'm saying is,
I'm not saying
you can equate it to that.
That's fair. I'm sure there's probably a lot more nuance to it, and I'm sure
there were more right-wing people in Korea who did not wear masks. They have that same problem too.
Really,
in the subways.
Interesting.
It's less.
I was gonna say,
there are still riots.
Is it the same kind of thing where they like they like make people feel guilty? Is there like a
yes?
Is there
oh, so it's even worse.
So there's not like a general sense where if somebody's like they're expressing their opinion, there's not more of that, or is I'm just actually
that's
curious.
what the right wing is fighting against.
So they're fighting for the right to choose.
Correct.
Like okay,
Correct.
that's fair.
Yes.
That's America. We gave Korea.
It is.
That's what America gave to Korea.
It's really funny if you go to any of those right wing protests.
They have American flags.
Yep, every
Fuck
time.
Yeah.
There's
that
not a single
liberals off.
There's not a single American in the fucking crowd, but they're waving those fucking American and Korean flags together.
You know, we did. For those of you unaware, there was a brief pause in our podcast where we had about a 30-minute conversation that divulged into politics.
Shit.
So
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So. Minorly revisiting that, you had asked me in that conversation things about Joe Biden's presidency that irked me.
Yeah.
And China, that relates me back to that as well.
Honestly,
that kind of relates to that point.
That scares me too.
Because they, in my opinion, China is the threat of our lifetime.
You've seen that like lecture, right? Where the Chinese guy, it was before Biden got inaugurated.
Oh my god. Yeah. Where the Chinese guy
Yeah. That scared the shit out of me.
I am not saying, again, those of you who voted for Biden did so for your own reasons, again, I'm not knocking these people. I will never bastardize somebody for their choice of vote realistically.
Yeah.
But, that being said, if your candidate is getting endorsed by the Chinese Communist Party, that's generally a red flag for a lot of reasons. For reasons that should not be political.
Yeah.
That should not involve how you feel about the candidate. That should not involve... Again, we can disagree on policy issues. But when I see a candidate and this again, for those of you who don't know, it's basically a video of a Chinese businessman. Chinese business is cooperative with their government. Their business is not separate from their government.
Yeah.
When you deal with Chinese business, you deal with the communist government.
Yeah.
That is just how it works there. So, when a Chinese businessman goes on record saying they prefer having Biden in office for Chinese interests, that is very alarming to me for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, he basically like outlaid the fact that they do like backdoor deals with fucking Hunter Biden.
Yeah,
and like dude, he's talking in front of like hundreds of people.
Dude, that was the biggest thing to me. It was just this.
Open.
It was this blind eye that everybody turned to Joe Biden prior to the election.
Yeah.
Again, have your issues with Trump. But if you are going to call out Trump on his private dealings, his family problems, and things he's said over the decades, you have to be consistent with both candidates.
I agree.
And that was not held. I did not think that was held the case with Joe Biden because there was so many stories. Facebook was guilty of burying the Hunter Biden story, the Russian gate. I don't know if you ever heard about this, but did you hear about the guy? He ran for president for the Democratic Party. I do not remember his name, but this was a huge fucking deal that nobody talked about it, and it shocked me. But he ran for the president
in 2020.
In 2020, he ran for president. I don't remember his name, but it's worth a Google. This man it was found out he was very openly having he was having sex with one of his aides, but that aide was a spy for the Chinese government, confirmed. A man in the Democratic Party who ran for president in the year 2020 was having a sexual relation with his party inner circle in his campaign office.
Was it one of the main candidates?
No, God, he was out pretty early, but that should still be exceeding. He was promising early on. A lot of people said he showed promise, like pretty early in the race. He died out pretty early on, but like it was still. It shocked me that, and you know what her name was? Pan Pan. I'm not fucking with you. This was a real story. Again, real life sometimes is honestly so crazy, you don't even need to make shit up. Her name was Pan Pan.
Especially in the age of Trump.
Yeah, not especially that. But literally, dude, it was just things like that the media just, in my mind, was turning a blind eye to. And I was like, again, Trump had his issues. And I'm more than happy to call him on them. I don't have a problem with that. But when I see Hunter Biden's son getting a payment from the mayor of Moscow's wife for $3.5 million, getting a job for a Ukrainian petroleum energy firm of which he has zero experience in any petroleum, of which he makes upwards of $60,000 a month for a job in which he has zero experience. while his father was the vice president.
Yeah.
Not only that, but then going and attending lectures in Beijing and being paid millions of dollars for using his dad's name. Like, these things, again...
And was Joe Biden ever questioned about any of this?
And if you ever brought it up, you were literally bastardized, and it was like you were called a conspiracy theorist, and you were called evil. It was so strange to me that nobody wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
And again, it did not come down to the fact that I was not willing to talk about Trump's issues, but it was the fact that I just saw the blatant hypocrisy of it, that I was just so upset with the fact that they were just so... It's just... America's become... Like, again, I saw this the other day. I hate that I use Twitter sometimes, but again, someone goes, remember when everybody found out the WWE was fake? Yeah. And the fans came back anyway and just continued watching it? I think there was a lot of people that knew. Sure. Again, this is a bad example.
No, I don't think it's that bad of an example.
But, like, again, America is becoming the WWE, where politicians are lying to our face, and we're just being okay with it.
It's so weird and... Honestly,
and people
pretty
just
cool that
eat
you
it at face
just
value.
equated that to the WWE. Have you ever heard of Eric Weinstein?
Is this related to Harvey Weinstein?
No, not at all. Completely different guy. He's a physicist, actually. But
yes, I have heard of this name.
Have you heard of Sagar and Jetty?
Yes, I have.
Okay, you need to look up. Have you ever heard of the Realignment podcast?
No.
Listen to the Realignment podcast.
Plugging a podcast on a podcast.
Oh, I wish that I could be plugging this podcast. It's gonna blow up. I know it is.
Is it gonna blow up?
So it's Marcus Koslov, Sagar and Jetty, and Eric Weinstein. Marcus and Sagar are the ones who run the podcast. Mm-hmm. Eric is just a guest.
Okay.
They talk literally about. Have you ever heard of Fakeade?
Facade?
No. There's a different word.
Fakeade.
That literally... I don't think it's fakeade, but it's something...
Explain it.
It's basically exactly what you were just saying. The fact that everybody knows that the WWE is fake, but they still watch it anyways.
Yeah, it's called a facade.
No, there's a different word for it. A facade
is that not the right word?
Is
you're putting on a facade.
Yeah, when you're just putting it on. It's the other people don't know. It's when the other people. It's when the watchers.
They're becoming aware of the facade.
Yes,
okay, yeah.
Yes, that's what the term is.
Yeah, no, but dude, that was
But this is like a huge thing actually in politics right now.
Psychological study, I imagine.
Especially also with this Robin Hood shit.
Yeah.
Because
it's just so
blatantly obvious.
It's so
everybody knows it's happening, but they're just watching it happen, and it's just like they're still getting entertainment from it. And the media is still profiting off it.
I have my problems with the internet, but the internet, I think, has really made it very hard for elites everywhere to hide what they do now.
Sure.
And again, this Robin Hood and again, everybody's been talking about the GameStop thing. I don't want to delve into that. There's been a million videos of people talking about that. You don't want to hear my opinion. I don't have enough of the comprehension.
That's fair.
But yeah, I do agree with you to the sense that I think it's just one of these things in my mind. It was so blatant. Like over the course of COVID, especially, I've just noticed so many things that are. The government is just so blatantly lying. Yeah. It's not even that they're trying to hide things, and that's when it comes back to, like, again, a conversation that disappeared in the records. I talked about Obama previously, like, lying well, and because of the way he spoke, and that's what I would call, like, not blatant. And again, I have my own issues with that, but that's being a politician. Sometimes you got to eat that bug, but it's like this. It's just so blatant and upfront in your face. It's like. How can you sit there and even pretend otherwise? And not only that, but watching the media try to cover it. Like watching billionaires get on TV, cry about it, and watching them be like, and watching the news go from, this is just a bunch of Trump guys. Mm-hmm. They're getting exploited by Redditors. Oh, wait, we're looking out for these people's interests.
Yeah, and
wait, buy silver. This is the new thing. Yeah. It has literally changed. Like the news cycle has changed every single day because one thing will not land. And they are getting so pissed as to why they cannot figure out why these Redditors do not give a fuck. That is literally just they cannot sit there and comprehend the thought process that a guy on a fucking computer off Reddit does not give a zero-sum fuck of what happens to you or your money. And that is such a foreign concept to them because everything in their mind, everybody wants something. Everybody wants something. In like that power game, that it's probably such a fucking refresher to them probably to have somebody across the screen that goes, I'm investing. Why? You might lose your money. I don't care. Yeah. So where do we go from here? Like, where do we go from here? Like fuck! I didn't think we'd get this far. It's like normally we don't like they don't. Most people don't double down usually with like billionaires. It's like I'm gonna lose my money. Okay. I was like, and that was literally
that's what their mindset is.
That's billionaires' mindset. It's like I'll just outspend you. Yeah. But like we finally found the angle where it's like, okay, we'll match you. Yeah. Are you really gonna lose your fortune betting against?
It's the collective.
It is the collective, and that's what
which has shown to be a very.
This was
it's
a uniting moment, and I do appreciate that.
What do you think
is
going to happen now? Like, how do you see this all turning out in the future?
Again, there's a lot of speculation. I don't want to delve into this huge because I've been talking about it a lot.
All right. Can you just answer simply?
That's fair. Yes.
Do we go into police state or do we keep our freedom?
In my personal opinion, I think we are really close to that tipping point. Like really, I think we are really we have been pushing this ball, in my opinion, down the road for a long time.
I know.
And it's like, I see a lot of parallels. I'm not comparing this to the previous Civil War. I don't think it's going to be that extreme. But I see the parallels in the ways that the parties are behaving, for those of you who look at history a lot, in the ways that the Civil War was put off for about 15 years. The real issues of the Civil War it originated with the Declaration of Independence, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know, a lot of people don't know this, but Thomas Jefferson actually made it illegal in the first slavery illegal in the first Declaration of Independence that he wrote.
Oh, really?
In his first draft, he wrote it, and it was illegal. He was planning on making it illegal. But he was afraid that the southern states would secede from the Union had he have done that originally. So it was an evil, he said, for the unity of the... Like, again, there's a lot of semantics, but that, again, the issue ultimately came down to the Founding Fathers not addressing the issue properly.
Yeah.
It came back up again in like the 1840s and got kicked down the road until basically a president came along that basically made everybody go, make or break, it's time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, pick your side. Even though Abraham Lincoln, again, he didn't do it on purpose, but he was just one of those controversial figures at the time that the opposition saw him as like, if it's this guy, we're done. This is the last straw for us.
Yep.
So I see
it's gonna come down to a last straw.
But like that was a lot. There was a lot of build up to that last straw where the parties had made it. They become exceedingly hostile. I don't know if you know this, but there was a case during that time where I forget the name of him, but there was in Congress another congressman. They insulted each other a little bit more back in Congress then, and a northern congressman was insulting a southern congressman. And the southern congressman proceeded to run across the room and beat him with his cane to the point where the congressman lifted a screwed into the floor desk out of the ground. This is a live... There is congressional records on this. You can look this up in the Library of Congress. This did happen. He literally beat someone borderline to death with his cane on the floor in the House of Congress.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so this was like 1850.
That's great.
Yeah, great times. America is a great place sometimes. But long story short, I have a point to this. But yeah, I see basically just the parties kicking these cans down the road, refusing to really address these problems. And I think the Capitol riots were a big accentuation. Again, I'm not saying that a lot of those people were okay in what they were doing. But I would be lying if I didn't say I didn't understand some of the frustration that a lot of those people were expressing. They took the wrong outlet. A lot of them deserve to go to jail for it too, for the fucking things that they did. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's just been a general frustration, I feel like, building amongst regular Americans where it's like, it's becoming very obvious that the parties are just in on it on each other, and it's not even so much like us contributing. And I personally just see us reaching this tipping point where I don't know what it's going to be. I thought Trump would be it personally. It didn't end up being him. I think he maybe just turned up the heat a little bit more than most people.
I think Trump just fucked up his chances. I think he had an easy slide re-election. I think he had an easy slam dunk re-election, and he fucked it up.
You know what? I said this to somebody. Someone said this to me. If he had turned off his Twitter on December 20th, 2017, he would have won this real. He would have won 2020 without even a question.
He could have turned his Twitter off.
If he had again, I'm not forgiving the shame, but
and he would have won.
Not even that. Again, think about the state of the world. Again, if on January 20th, 2017, he just said, you know what, not while I'm president, and just deleted Twitter.
Oh, it would have been an entirely different presidency.
It would have been a completely different state of affairs. But long story, the point I'm making is I just see us. We are, I think, at that very tipping. We are just really on this. We've been on this tipping point for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be one thing that really sets it over. And I see a lot of the world kind of devolving. Like the thing in Myanmar, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about that. Like the military coup in there. Again, Iran being several weeks from having a nuclear bomb. For the first time in their history. They've been trying for 65 years. And in the first 2 weeks of Biden presidency, they have a nuclear bomb, borderline complete. Not correlating, I'm just saying, kind of strange. Again, I just see a lot of conflicts erupting in the near future that we're going to get dragged into, and I just see a lot of the GameStop thing. I think is a big catalyst to a lot of people's just general anger. They're looking for a way to take it out, and I think the GameStop thing has been a good outlet for a lot of people. But I think it's just at this point, I think the lockdowns are if the lockdowns don't come down soon in some places, because I don't know if you know this, but a lot of places in Italy are going to shit because Italy won't. Are rioting. Yeah, they won't. Again, it's shit the news doesn't cover. There's been riots in fucking Germany. There's been riots in Italy. There's been riots in Hungary. There's a huge thing in Budapest right now where cafes are like, we have to open. We have been open for centuries.
Yeah.
Like literally, we have been family-owned businesses for centuries, and we lived through the Black Plague.
Yeah.
And you guys are keeping us through this one? What the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's in the news won't let cut. Like they're just Europe locked down and they love it over there. They're doing great, but it's like, okay, their lockdown didn't work. They're still infected, and they're actually rioting now that they want everything open because they've literally had very severe lockdowns over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that we're reaching that point where it's like they got to start giving us something. You know what I'm saying? Like they've been making promises for so long, and it's like the biggest issues of our time we're watching slip through their fingers. Like censorship on social media, one of the biggest issues of our time went unaddressed for pretty much 4 straight years. That was one of my biggest problems with Trump's presidency in general, too. And Republicans, is they constantly harped on like big tech companies like Twitter, Facebook, and Google about censorship and all that shit, but never once made the effort to really legislate.
Yeah.
And that's, again, my issue is not just with Democrats. I have an issue with everybody in Washington. I personally believe if you have been in office for generally more than 5 years at this point, I really do believe you are part of the problem. And I think everybody is guilty of all the shit they accuse their opposite side of. I think everybody's guilty at this point. Nobody is pure in my mind really anymore. But that being said, I don't remember where exactly I was going with that. But
that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think everybody needs to just kind of. I think we need a candidate. We really just need someone better. We need a clean slate.
We need somebody to.
We need something fresh, man. Yeah. I don't know if it's a new party.
We need a leader.
Really? Yeah. We need someone to fucking step up. What do you think the answer is?
The answer is not Joe Biden.
Clearly,
nothing is going to happen in the next 4 years.
You know what? We're going back into wars across the country. But at least our health secretary is a transgender woman.
At least that.
At least we have the most diverse cabinet in U.S. history.
At least we have
that. At minimum, we have that. At least morally, we feel good.
So many things. But what I think, I can't predict the fucking future, but
how do you lower tensions? What do you see? Do you think it's a leader? Do you think it's us?
I want it to be a leader.
Do you think it's a culture shift that we need to accentuate in ourselves?
Okay, this is what I think. It's going to be some leader, and it doesn't even have to be the president, is going to start a movement of people. And I'm hoping that this movement is going to be for the good. I'm waiting for the populist movement, bro. There are so many issues right now that are so dominated by the fucking people.
Yeah.
And the fucking government won't even touch it. They won't even look at it.
Isn't it funny that Trump's considered a populist?
Well,
because he is.
But I'm talking like third party populist shit.
Like what? What do you mean in terms of populist?
I mean like some party that's gonna bring. That's literally just going to put issues on the fucking table and just like, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And
that's existed before.
I know it's existed before, but it needs a revival.
Yeah, a revival.
Yeah.
I agree.
But the problem is, whenever something starts, it just gets fucking immediately shot down by the fucking corporate and by fucking big money and by.
In my opinion, I think there needs to be just a general move of. I think our generation is going to be a huge key to this. Because I think when we start getting in positions of power, I think there just needs to be a general sense that we need to clean house of just
not. That was Trump's thing, wasn't it?
What do you mean?
Draining the swamp.
Yeah. Again, yeah. That was issues I had.
Trump's biggest fuck up in my mind was not holding that promise.
That was a promise. Again, I had my issues with Trump's presidency. Yeah. He did try to tackle that, but that is such, again, that I'm not blaming him or I'm not saying he couldn't have done better, but that is such a difficult problem. It is corruption is so entrenched in Washington at this point.
Yeah,
it is really difficult to tackle that issue as just one person.
Sure.
Especially like again, the president. As a president, that shouldn't be the president's job for the most part.
No, really.
In my opinion, at least, that should be.
No, I know.
That should be the Speaker of the House's job, or like that. That is why we have Congress. That's why we have these people, but they don't do their job. Dude, honestly, I'm considering running for office.
Really?
I'm really getting close. Mm-hmm. I'm getting close. I don't know. I think 25 is the cutoff age for Congress here for several districts. Yeah. I think I'd want to run. But because, like, my opinion, how I would solve a lot of the problems, what the biggest problems I see are big corporations, incumbency, and the same people. It's just my problem is it's just too familiar. We've just seen too much of the same for too much. Sometimes I think I don't think we should start from scratch.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Like there are some people like the revolutionary burn it all down. It's like I do think we have something special here. Sure. I really do believe that. I think America is a great place. I think we do have something very special in America, and I think we do have something worth saving and preserving. I think I do think we're witnessing a culture war to an extent.
Sure.
And we're fighting for the soul of America. Is really what I see happening.
Most definitely.
Yeah. I think that's what it really is going to come down to. And I think that it's going to... Fuck, where was I going with this?
You're probably running?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I didn't... No, oh, yeah. So my issues is I see big corporations as a huge part of the problem.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they're monopolies at this point.
Yeah.
And it's very strange to me to watch, like, other people defend it.
So...
Because I'm conservative economically generally. That's just my mindset, and I like as someone who is in favor of competition in the sense that I want as many competitors for things out there as possible because that's how I believe things become cheaper, more accessible.
Yeah,
that's how I'm saying. Like it's like when certain companies dominate, they take over everything, and you lose the option. That's why I'm probably done with Apple because I'm sick of their bullshit. Because the same thing. Like, their new iPhone doesn't even come with a fucking charger. Not even in the fucking box anymore.
Don't you already have a fucking charger?
That's not a... Oh, my God. You're missing the whole fucking point, man. I don't know.
What I'm saying is I like Apple, actually. So that's why I'm...
I like things about it, but I just wish that these companies... It's the same thing that we were talking about, like blatancy. Yeah, it's like they're just so blatantly, like... gouging prices, just putting out products they know we're gonna buy without. There's just such a lack of care for customer. That's what I get. It's just it's a care for money, not for the customer. There is a difference because you can lose money and care for the customer, but vice versa. I do think there is a huge difference between caring for your customer and caring for your profits. And that's what they're doing, is they're caring for their profits and they're putting out things that we know we're just going to purchase. And that's what it is. But like if there were things that I would do is I would trash these huge companies. Amazon, I would break up into I would be like, you guys cannot keep doing this. I would break up Disney as a company. I really would. I would break it back up to industry. you really have to break all these companies back up. They have just become too dominant in these markets. There is just no competition anymore. And that, in my mind, has become a huge problem just for everyday Americans as it is.
The big problem in my mind is there's no conversation around it, even in Congress. Really, like, and that's there sort of is like a little bit.
There's
like
a few
Google
people. There's a few people in the back rafters who are yelling it, but they're getting drowned out.
Yeah, it's not as big of a priority as it probably should be. And I have a lot of things about Apple. I don't want this podcast to go too long, so I won't get too deep into it. What are we at right now? All right, we're at an hour. We're at the perfect time for my final question of the podcast. Mm-hmm. Are you ready?
Sure.
It's the most important question.
Oh, God.
In the history.
Of like ever.
Of like ever.
Of like ever. Okay.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Sure.
What is...
my favorite color?
The meaning of life.
Oh, my God. Oh.
Serious.
I'm reading a book right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in process of tackling a lot of these real big issues in the moment.
Cool.
So... I just started The Antichrist by Friedrich Nietzsche. I don't know if you know what that is or who that is.
I know who the Antichrist is, but I don't know who the author is.
So he was the best way. This is probably not his title, but he was a German philosopher in like the mid 1800s, give or take, and he wrote several books. He wrote God is Dead, The Antichrist, several books like that. I'm actually reading these books. They're very deep thinking novels. Mm-hmm. So. In process, I'm tackling that because these books are very deep, and the one I'm reading right now is a big expose on how faith plays a part in the human condition and religion especially. And he's a very outspoken critic, specifically of Christianity, the guy I'm reading. So it's been an interesting read thus far. I'm only about like 40 pages into it because it's a very complex... It was translated, obviously, and it's very complex language, the way he speaks, but it's very deep. But to the meaning of life, to answer your question, I guess I have a follow-up question to where, like, what do you mean in that sense? Do you mean meaning of life, like, what do I want in life? Or, like, what do I look for as, what gets me up in the morning? What I want to do? Like, what do you, like...
I keep it a little open-ended, but I'm asking, what to you is the meaning of life?
Like, what I'm motivated for, I guess. Or just what I go out.
So people have answered it, like that. Or people have answered it, what do they think the meaning of all life is? What do they think life is about? Like, what is...
I also think I have a taboo view on this because in me, I think I've developed a very strange view on this. So, we've read The Hobbit before, and again, I'm a fucking geek. This is my geekness. Gandalf talks about this in like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. He's like, what do you think keeps evil at bay? And this is like a philosophical conversation within the book. He goes, my friend thinks it's great power, like mighty people, like great warriors and heroes. He goes, I don't think that. He goes, I think it's everyday deeds by good people, just little things each day. That to me was more, that's what I have found in like the meaning of it. It's just little interactions I've had with people that I don't know. Like, I love having conversations with people on a very deep level. But to me, I've found a lot more... I've almost discovered more about people in brief interactions than I have in long conversations. And it's been very interesting that way in my experience. Like, it's just little things to me. Like, I was at a gas station, and it was just like a little conversation. I don't remember, like, exact verbiage, but it was just like, hey, like, you know, just like the, hey, man, how's your day going? Oh, doing great. And he's like... My girlfriend made me a sandwich, just little things, but it like made me feel great. And like it was just like a moment of like again, I don't remember the exact conversation, but it was something like that. It just brought me happiness to have an experience, and it's just things like that I search for meaning. It's just those little. This is gonna sound weird, but it's like pieces of people that I like look to take, in a sense. That's a weird way of putting it, but I'm taking the experiences from other people and internalizing them. So I don't think for sure I have found the meaning of life, but to me, life is the little interactions that accumulate your being and how you view the world. That's what life is to me, is the little things that mesh together. That's how I would answer that question, right?
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you'd like to say?
To the viewers, the audience, to nobody, no. I have nothing left to say.
Nether.
Huh?
To the nether.
To the nether realm. God bless. No, I don't know. Not God bless. May the devil bless you in your travels.
May the devil? Oh, God.
No. God, no. We're not going to get dark on that.
All right.
God bless Azeroth for Narnia.
For Narnia.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks, Taylor.